How's the stash?
Glorious.
That's what I'm talking about. This is Stash Cast. Let's go.
So work that waiver wire, make those trades. Do what you got to do. Let's go. Don't be a quitter. Don't be a quitter.
Come on. Do you even want to win?
Jared's like, I'm going to drink a beer a hole, and then does.
Now you get to date your favorite color.
Played the School of the Blind 3
you
times.
You nobody.
All girls school. Way to go.
You're playing nobody.
So they got 11 guys that want to kick your ass too.
Nia Long, man. Nia freaking Long.
It has been uphill both ways through shit creek.
I'll be naked, passed out somewhere on the floor. Hopefully it's just my own room.
Their offense is great. Their defense makes me want to shit down both legs.
I'm not playing for the next 2 hours. Bring me some chicken.
He's not superstitious, but that sumbitch is a little stitious. I'll tell you that. There ain't no doubt about it.
Stash Cast, baby. Stash Cast, baby. Let's go. Welcome to our ridiculous sports show on this historic evening. We got a packed show this week. It's historic because the Georgia Bulldogs and King Kirby Smart, they showed up, they showed out, and they beat the absolute piss out of TCU, who apparently shouldn't even get off the fucking bus. But the NFL playoffs are set. Coaches are getting fired. People are shipping off. People are putting in trade requests, and retirement rumors are everywhere. Damar Hamlin's back in Buffalo. And I'm getting absolutely trounced online for taking the points in the national championship. It's been pretty hilarious to see how little everyone thinks about my personal choice on that game. So TCU was plus 13. It was a national championship game. I made a mistake. I was convinced by all the talking heads that the Horny Toads were going to at least show up and make it an interesting game, at least for a minute. So I went against all the gut feelings that I had, what my eyes have told me all year, and especially this year. And even though the plus 13 was the only bet that we lost, let's be honest, the over hit, all the prop bets hit. It was the only bet out of the probably 6 that we went. We went 5-1 overall, and prop bets included. But I was absolutely roasted on the TikToks, on the interwebs, for being stupid enough to take the spread. It was, an epic beatdown from the first snap. I knew in my gut it would happen, but I couldn't believe that in 2023, we're still having championship games that are so one-sided. They're not even any fun to watch. So for that, I was wrong. Lesson learned. JJ's message for Sonny Dykes was simple. Going to be a long day for the Frogs. He and Caleb were right. JJ, I'm so proud of you for making the right pick for a change. Clearly, I was an idiot. I, being Nick Mars, your very humbled host of the Stash Cast, and joining me from LA, the professor, our betting guru, and all around pain in my ass, Alex Alper. From Virginia, by way of the Carolinas, Joe Hudson, who was so pissed at the national championship, but not for the reason you probably think. And we'll come back around to that shortly for sure, but I'm sure glad all tweeters joining us tonight. As always, to my right, the only reason worth watching our Instagram and our social media pages, K-Love, still glowing from her double down victory on Monday night.
Yes.
And finally, resident meathead, director of team travel for the Cleveland Guardians, Jared Jones. Glad to have you, buddy. Back to TCU and Georgia. Your message was clear. Georgia by a landslide, simple as that. You were absolutely right, and I was wrong. So, I mean, how you you're feeling? Still feeling good?
Yes and no, right? I'm feeling good in terms of winning. I'm feeling like shit in terms of wasting 4 hours to watch an absolute trouncing. You're like, get at halftime, you're like, right, God, please. I wish it was in high school when you're like, you're up 30 and they just like ran the clock. You're like, just run the clock. Georgia's eating chicken wings on the sidelines. I mean, I said the sun's gonna shine on the dog's ass today. I didn't realize I was a dog too, but fuck, it was unbelievable. I mean,
they're curtain calling with 14 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They brought in everybody that shouldn't have played all year. I mean, one guy's got 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and didn't get a snap all year. They couldn't help but run it into the end zone. It was a dump truck could drive through there. It was.
Couldn't even fault them.
I mean, right. You can't fault them for it. I mean, they ran the ball. It wasn't like they were trying to shove it down their throat. They just were. But I'll say this. Georgia got off the bus with an attitude. I always talk about this before the games. Like I put those videos out way before, during the middle of the day while you're thinking 15 different things. And I was wrong, but I always talk about what my actual money goes on is what I watch the first part of the game. Right after the national anthem, I look at them in the eyes. Who's feeling it? And I'll tell you what, everybody that had red and black on showed up, click, clack, ready to run down that freaking track and let's go. It was from the first snap, it was on. And they had a look about them. They talking about, we're coming to hunt tonight, leave no doubt. And they did not.
Is it aggressive? Is that what King Kirby calls it?
King Kirby said, we're coming out aggressive. Let's go.
Well, I think after they almost got beat by Ohio State, it was, okay, we got to get our shit together if we want to win this. And let's just show them who we really are. And that's what they did. And I mean, really, I just have to say this. Babe, if you would have asked your fiance what to take for the bet, I mean, or your best friend and best man, I'm just saying things could have been different.
Yeah, I should have listened to people much smarter than me. I listened to too many things. There was some guy that I thought was not going to play. He ended up playing, and just everything that I thought.
All those guys.
It all turned to dust right about kickoff time, and I just was like, "Thank God I took the over," because Alabama got it by themselves.
I'm pretty sure.
Or Georgia, sorry.
I was expecting a much. You got to expect a better game than that.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah,
13's pretty big.
All the guys who didn't play in the Peach Bowl, like McConkle, who could barely walk, Darnell, Washington, their left tackle, their right tackle, they looked so bad against Ohio State. And every single one of those guys played in the championship game. I don't know if they were using some sort of like deer antler hormone or something or other to get them all in
tiger
there.
blood.
For sure. Tiger blood, not being able to walk,
Bulldog.
to then like
ayahuasca
playing like all-star. Yeah.
Well, it's a
Is
national
that Cologne?
championship. Go big or go home. Bring them all. If they're hurt, who cares? It's a national
Shoot 'em
championship.
up.
You got to do it.
Yeah, let's go. So, all right, couple of questions. It's been, a couple of days, 65-7. Does Georgia have a chance? I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked into what they've got coming back at the quarterback position, what they've got on a defensive situation. But are they in a spot to three-peat? Is this a thing that we're going to have to really pay attention to? I mean, Alex is nodding his head. Yes. Is that something that you're expecting?
Didn't they just get a transfer of like a wide receiver that's like a stud receiver that just went there? He just transferred, right?
Yeah. They got stud receiver coming in. I mean, everybody who's like at a small podunk school, like your favorite Austin P,
right?
Yeah. If they've got a guy and he's like, oh, I want to go play, fancier football, where do you think he's going to want to go, type of thing? So they'll get all of that, and that happens every time someone wins a national championship. Mm-hmm. They'll get some recruits when they recruit again in February. But they are, according to Vegas right now, the odds-on favorite to win the national championship. So,
yeah, they are. And so my question leads me into this question: who can legitimately contend? I mean, I think that Georgia made it very clear, and Alabama made it very clear, and Tennessee helped make it very clear that if you want to play with the big boys, you're going to have to play against the SEC team, and the big boys can't. In the other conference, they just can't. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry, they just can't. They've tried year in and year out, and they just can't. Clemson has for a couple of times, but year in and year out, what is it? 7 of the last 10 SEC. Let's go. There's something going on. The rest of the country's got to catch up, or we're going to get potentially 65-7 national championship games because you put Ohio State, and that's the best game that we saw. But I can think of 3 teams in the SEC that would have played a better game against Georgia in both the semifinal and the final game, but that's not the way that it works. The other teams earned their way in, but when they got to play against the best team in the country, they got their shit pushed in, and it wasn't close.
Yep.
Only one more year of this crap, and then it's the 12-team playoff. So,
and Kristen and I have talked about that. How does the 12-team playoff eliminate the one game catch lightning in a bottle team like TCU? TCU didn't have any business being in the game, apparently. So they catch lightning in a bottle. They beat Michigan. They get into the national championship game. They fool everybody like myself that they can contend when clearly they can't. Does that additional game weed that kind of accident out?
Yeah. Because the top 4 teams get a bye, and then the other 8 teams play each other to get in to play those top 4 teams. So TCU would basically have to win 2 games in order to, or win at least a game before playing somebody else. So
not necessarily this year because they were 4.
very true. So they would have
So,
gotten a bye,
but
they would have lost.
Three.
They
it
would have lost
opens-
before.
Does it open the door for a
Yeah.
Cinderella? Like let's call TCU a Cinderella, right? Let's say, does it open the 12 team? Does it, is it also, as it closes one door towards the fluke team that shouldn't win, that gets into the national championship for no reason and it's a waste of time? Does it also open the door for a team like that's maybe 8th or 10th ranked that gets in, that wins 2 games to get into it, but then it's also, you get a nothing game against the team that should have been there? Like, how does it affect the quality of the product that they're putting on the field when they move to 12 teams?
I think they should have 4 SEC buy-ins out of the gate. Like, that should just be a guarantee. The SEC is this isn't even. I mean, you mean Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, and there's going to be another team. Like, it's not even. You can pull 2 from the Big Ten. Everybody else is just hoping for a lottery year. It's not even close. This game just proved that the SEC is so much better. I think that
SEC
any 0-loss team from either conference should be treated the same as a 1-loss SEC team. So, and then any 1-team loss like TCU should be treated the same as a 2-loss SEC team, because they're playing grown men football the entire season. They're not, hey, I got to gear up to play TCU. I got to gear up to play Oklahoma and Texas, and the rest should be a landslide. Oh shit, I faltered against Kansas State because they caught me on a bad day.
Yeah, you can't get you've got to, the bar has to be the SEC. Like, they've proven that the bar has to be the SEC. You can't say the Big 10, the Pac-12, the Big 12, the Mac-10, the whatever the fuck. The bar is the SEC, and they've proven it. The ACC's got one team that's come out of it in the last decade that's worth a shit, and that's Clemson. There's been some other teams that have had some good seasons. We're not going to take away from those kids and the seasons that they've had in their conferences. But when you talk about the national championship playoff picture, there's not any conferences other than the Big 10 that ACC, Big 12, Pac-12 that produce anyone who's considered even remotely close.
And I think the gap, like you're saying, like Big 10, you look at it, 2 good teams, simply maybe a third. ACC, maybe 2 good teams. SEC's got 5, 6 contenders every year until the end, where they're just crushing each other. And then because they have to beat up each other, they're getting thrown down the playoff ranks. It's horseshit. Give the SEC a little more credit.
The 0 wins thing has it's been so diluted, in my opinion, that I don't think it's even necessarily relevant. If somebody's got a win or a loss, the record be 14-1 team versus a 15-0 team, or whatever the records can be, whatever, 13-0 versus a 12-1. A 13-0 TCU and a 12-1 LSU, Tennessee, Alabama, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
No question.
Is a better game for Michigan. It's a better game for Georgia. It's a better game for Ohio State. It's a better game for any of these other teams that would be considered into being in this game, even though they've got a loss. Now, Tennessee's loss, right? Had the loss against Georgia, which is, it is what it is. The second loss against South Carolina, even though there were some things going on within their ranks, they still lost to an unranked team on the road badly. That's enough from a resume perspective to knock them off the pedestal. Alabama, as much as I hate to say it, their losses were by less than 4 total points within the last 5 seconds of 2 games to top 10 ranked teams. Their resume said they were this close to being the second ranked team in the country. They're a couple of kicks away, 5 seconds max, from being the second ranked best team in the country. TCU had been what did they have, 4 or 5 comeback wins in the last half of the season? They had the last second, had to do the what do they call the emergency kick, field goal kick? They call it something, and I'm sure I'll hear about it, but they call it something. No, but where they ran out on the field and kicked the field goal without taking any timeouts, without doing anything. They just ran out there and kicked it. and won the game. They had a team that was expected to be 7th in their conference in the preseason, in the Big 12, 7th. Wasn't ranked, wasn't expected to be ranked. They had a first-year coach in Sonny Dykes, and all of a sudden they just started rolling. And the fact that they kept winning and were undefeated is the reason why they were even in the conversation. Now, if you go down through the list and you line up teams next to each other, other than the 0 in the loss column, TCU shouldn't have been in a lot of the games that they were in. They shouldn't have been in the Big 12 championship, shouldn't have been in the college football final, semifinal, and they sure as shit shouldn't have been in the fucking final. But they were.
But I mean, hey, but wait, they got there. They beat Ohio State. They won their conference championship. They won all the games they needed to. So they did what they needed to do. Like,
they lost the conference championship game.
Yes, to Kansas State. So I'm saying that one loss should be 2 in the SEC. I'm with Nick. I fucking hate Alabama. Despise Alabama.
Everyone's jealous of their success.
They should have been there. The championship game just proved it.
They lose in the championship game, even if they win the game. I'm saying that there's not that because the 0 is in the loss column, that holds more weight than the eyeball test. And what a lot of experts will say, like Nick Saban asked the question, if you were to put us head to head against any of the teams in the playoff, would we be favored to win? And the answer was, yeah, probably. But that's not the way that it works.
Right.
I don't know that the 12-team playoff corrects that.
How does it work?
It does, because it gives everyone
Yeah.
it gives everyone a chance. So, like, TCU would still have to, if they can win out in the March Madness style tournament at the end of the season, then more power to them. But the chance of them winning multiple games obviously isn't good. So they're not going to play in the national title game in a 12-team format. That's
Maybe
why
not.
it's there.
But it
They'll be
does still
invited.
create the Cinderella opportunity, and I think that's the glimmer
Sure.
of hope that they're hoping that they're leaving on the table.
That's the glimmer.
You
of
can't. I mean,
corn.
Yeah.
yeah, you got to
But
give.
it also
I mean,
takes
college
into account.
football's-
You made a good point last week about the NIL and the transfer portal and in the state of college football right now. If you expand this out to 12 teams and you start to say, okay, now there's teams playing like this Clemson UT game, like this Penn State game that's in the Rose Bowl. Now you've got all these games this through 1 through 12 now instead of 1 through 4. You've got a lot of players that are in that draft lottery type first day of the draft type guys who are now sitting there going, what do we do? Joe, what do you think?
No, I was just thinking, and you guys know that college football is not my favorite, thing to watch. It's tough for me to really get into it like you guys do, for sure. And it might stem from being from a smaller school. But one thing I think I like about the 12-team thing as a subpar fan is it makes it easier for me to care about a matchup, knowing that matchup will proceed to future matchups. Whereas I don't care who sponsors what football game. I don't care about what the bowl is. I don't care about I don't remember anything. I never know anybody that's playing in a bowl game based on the title of the game. But if it's part of the playoffs, it centralizes all of that activity and also keeps it moving towards something that you can follow as a subpar fan and kind of know what's going on. And I think that's something I'm actually excited about. There's no algorithm. We've talked about this. It just doesn't make sense. It's too subjective, and no one's right, no one's wrong. How can we even know who's right or wrong about Alabama? I totally agree. But I also think it was more exciting of a playoff with TCU in there than Alabama to the subpar fan. It's like, well, you could walk up to a stranger in the street and go, hey, who's in the Final Four? They're like, oh, shit, man, I don't even watch football. Alabama, I think, maybe Georgia. And you're like, yeah, because they're always there.
Yeah.
So,
But it's like, but then you see, I mean, yes, they were in it and made it more exciting, but then they got smoked and then it wasn't. And then it goes back to the same
Right.
thing of, okay, well, and it's what I've said before, like, who do these other conferences play? I mean, yes, I love SEC.
But they
and
beat
yes,
Ohio
yes,
State.
yes, I'm biased.
Michigan.
I'm not done.
Michigan beat Ohio State. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
no.
But at the same
TCU beat Michigan.
TCU
players.
Shut the fuck
Michigan.
up, Alex.
Yeah.
Let her talk.
Damn it.
Well,
TCU
It just goes back though, the strength of their schedule, just because some of these other teams have won all their games and not lost any, but at the same time, when they go outside of other conferences, they suck. And when I go and play up against SEC, they just do, because you've got SEC who the strength of, their demeanor, their strength of their teams and their coaches and, everything to make it work. It just works. And so I welcome, the 12 format, because that way, it can, there will maybe be some Cinderella, but then to weed out the ones that don't make sense. Like, it's not just because I'm a huge Tennessee fan, but it's just, it doesn't make sense to have someone like TCU being, just because, to your point, that they have a 0 at the end, they haven't lost any, but it would have been a better game with a Georgia and Alabama. To your point, Alabama didn't do what they needed to do to be in it and in that spot. But at the end of the day, the matchup, and when we talk about wanting a good game, a good true national championship game, it would have been a Georgia and Alabama at this point, and hopefully Tennessee in the future. But there's a lot of competition in the SEC that just doesn't exist in other conferences. Like you said, ACC across the board, they just are kind of womp, like, good for you, but you go outside and you're going to get smashed. Just is what it is. Thank you.
Waiter, you're killing me. You're like Dandelion Bowl, Rose Bowl. I don't give a shit. Like, cracks me up, man. You're like the bowl games. I don't know. I can't keep them straight. Nobody cares.
No, too many bowls.
Yeah.
No such thing.
Way too many bowls, way too much going on. But it's
I'll
good to talk
be more
about.
interested if the kids actually start playing in these bowl games. So, like, I understand you're not playing in the Meineke.com or the Mayo Bowl or something or other. But if you're part of the 12-teamer and you have a chance to go win a national title, that's got to be like, oh, I'm going to play in this game and maybe the next game and maybe the next game for a chance to win a national title in college.
Right.
That would make more people more interested versus, oh, this team is playing without their quarterback, without their best running back, and their coach is now coaching another team. And it's like, what's the point?
You're right. You're absolutely
money.
Right.
Money, but yeah.
Speaking of money, there's a lot of players that are going to get an opportunity to be on a national stage, raise their draft stock, raise the notoriety that they've got, or lower it. They've got that opportunity too. But I think a lot of the arguments about the bowl games are that there's not enough notoriety for me. There's no reason for me to play it. There's no reason for me to go and risk my body because there's not enough people that are going to see it if I do well. Well, this may change that. It may not, but it could. You talk about players going from one place to the other. You talk about coaches going from one place to the other. There's already been some coaches reassigned in the Big Ten for sure, with Luke Fickell going to Wisconsin. And then let's see, we got Nebraska got filled with Matt Rule earlier in the year. There's been a handful of other ones. Remind me of the other one. There's been another big one that just got filled. I know Jim Harbaugh, he went and he interviewed for the Broncos job on Monday. And he was talking to the Panthers last week. What do we got, JJ?
I've said it before, so this is no hot take, but shit or get off the pot. I hate it. You got top recruits coming in the portal. You got a big signing class, and you're like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. Like, for me, he doesn't have anything to prove in terms of, okay, you beat Ohio State and you won the Big Ten. Like, you checked two huge boxes. But if I'm a Michigan fan, I'm like, hey, man, you came to win a national title. So either get the fuck out of here and let's be done with this, or stay here and let's see this thing through. But he's on my I'm over it list. Get off the pot. I'm done with Jim Harbaugh.
I'm with you on that because too, didn't he, do this long post about, I'm staying in Michigan and, ignore all the noise. And it's like, he was all for Michigan. And now literally the next week or 2 weeks, he's interviewing for this job and that job in the NFL. It's just like, then go. If you're going to do it, then just go, but quit, messing with everybody. Cause that's not fair either. And that just pisses people off, and I don't blame them.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to the conversation we were having last week about college coaches and their systems and the translation to the NFL. But before we move off the college coaches being moved, I think we'd be remiss to not mention Coach Prime moving into the Pac-12 and what he's going to be doing at Colorado. I like Coach Prime. I like what he's doing. I like his attitude. In fact, he's bringing in a lot of dudes into Colorado. He's not expecting to be able to take over with what was already there in the first place. He's utilizing the transfer portal, already bumped up to the number 3 transfer portal or whatever draft class or whatever they call it. What are we doing in the Pac-12 when Coach Prime comes to town? Ron, Alex, what do you think?
And maybe you heard Herb Street during the national title tell Reese, who was a Colorado grad, I believe, that the first game was going to be Colorado versus Arizona State. They were going to change that up, and that would be the first Pac-12 game. As of this morning, that is not true. That
Still
is not going to
TCU?
happen. They're not going to give Coach Prime that much pub to be the very first game of the Pac-12. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's not going to be his first game. So
TCU
yeah,
will not. It won't be TCU.
I don't know who the first game is, but
It won't be Arizona State. It won't be Arizona State.
Colorado,
it won't be
Arizona State.
Okay.
Herb Street tried to break that live, and
well, that's what Coach Prime said
true.
something about when they were like, "Yeah, you're playing TCU to start off the season next year," and he was like, I think that's up for change." He's like, maybe it'll be more like Arizona State. And I thought he was just joking, but apparently then Herb Street said on the air, he was like, "Oh, by the way, Coach Prime said," I was like, I don't think he's got that much pull yet, but maybe he does. It's Coach Prime. What are you going to tell? What are you going to tell Prime?
It's good for the Pac-12. USC and UCLA, this will be their last year there before moving on to the Big Ten. So, they need some publicity.
Sure.
Prime's going to add it. He was at a historically black college. Now he's at a historically white college, which is just great for everything. And he's going to bring not only the entertainment, but the man can coach. And from what we've seen, and obviously it's a different level, and he's started with not much in Colorado. So we'll see how long it takes for him to turn it around. But
yeah, we'll see.
It should be entertaining.
I'm
going to pay attention to more Colorado games.
For sure. You got to watch Coach Prime.
Another sport that has a coach right now that people are looking forward to watching the game because the coach, like, I can't think of any other team, any other sport. Like, I'm like, I would definitely watch the first Colorado game. What's going to go on there?
So I told Nick today, I actually saw a post where he was asked about NFL coaching and what he would do. And he said he had no interest in coaching rich men, and that he said and that he preferred to coach younger men who actually need direction in life. And so I love that. I think that's incredible. And, college football needs coaches like him that are going to come in and, build like you said, the entertainment, build the amplification around that and the guys, but also teach them, help them grow to be young men when they leave college. And so I think that's really exciting to see what he does on and off the field for his guys, because he's going to go to bat for them. So I thought that was great to not want to coach rich men.
Yeah,
that's fair.
He's not doing it for the money.
No, he wasn't thrilled that there was no tailgating at the game either. He was pretty pissed about that. He was like, the fans is what it's all about. And this is, the fans and this and that, and they're getting ready for the game. That's what it's all about. And I guess and Alex was the first one to let me know about the fact that the committee had dictated that there would be no tailgating at the national championship game. And I was like, what? Why not? And I thought it was because there wasn't the space, but apparently this is the first year that they've done that. They didn't let it happen before. And I was kind of blown away.
No, they did it. They did it last year in Indianapolis and the year before in New Orleans. They said no tailgating for either one of those games.
Yeah, then I think that's crazy. Like, it's like, I don't know.
It's blasphemy.
Yeah, it's blasphemy. Yeah.
And from Texas, that's ridiculous. That's where they're based.
Yeah.
I could get maybe during COVID times or trying to eliminate, I don't know, throw a bone there, but it was weird when they showed the pano and the parking lot was totally empty. I was like, are people actually at this game?
Right. It was crazy. But, it's like Joe was talking about earlier. He's like, it's part of the show, right? It's part of, like, it's like a concert. Like, it's as much part of the show. Like, he was telling a story about, it was a Kid Rock. Was it Kid Rock up?
Yeah, Kid Rock.
Tell that story, Joe.
Well, just it was years ago. I was living up in the Northern Virginia area, and I remember there's this big venue, Jiffy Lube. Great shows there. They got like just a really cool mix of artists that come through there. And
good
Kid Rock
show. Get your oil changed. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
a great evening.
Now, the Jiffy Lube Bowl. Fuck off. Anyways, he gets on stage, and basically they had stopped tailgating. They stopped allowing tailgating before their concerts. So basically he gets on stage and he's like, "So I heard y'all couldn't tailgate. Man, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
You're trying to go out and just have a good night with your wife, your woman,
Right.
buy her some food, drinks, whatever. You spend $100 before you even get started on the show." He's like, "This is just wrong." He said, "You guys should be able to have fun before the show. That's part of it." And he said, "I'm never coming back here." And then the next artist came up. I think the big artist came up and was like, "I like that. I'm not coming back here either. I want
Hell
you to
yeah.
have fun when you
Joined
come
him,
to
huh?
my shows." And they changed it, man. They changed it. And honestly, I just think that tailgating is, I can think of lots of activities that there is an end goal, but the fun part is actually before, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
And
That's a pretty wide open little conversation.
there's a lot of things right there that could qualify under that umbrella. But I just think the tailgating,
This is
man,
a
it's just
kid.
part
This
of,
is not a kid show, but this is.
hey,
but
I'm
you
a
need to keep
retired
it between the mustard and the
elementary school
mayonnaise,
teacher.
son.
I'm a
Retired
retired
school
elementary
teacher.
school teacher.
Yeah,
After
and I feel like elementary school teachers are probably the most fucked up ones of everybody. Like, because they're the ones that I always see at the bar just getting wrecked.
Yeah, there's
Martinis. They're just like, yeah, I had kids colored all over my new shoes. Like, yeah, you chose it.
straight
Get
up.
wrecked all day
but
at school.
But you are the educators that are molding our future.
we're molding the future.
Where now you're doing cybersecurity on the internet at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Well, I'll just say, to wrap it up, basically, man, I just think it's a no-brainer that is just part of the soul of college football, of big events, that it's a celebration of it, and it's the different excuses people do it. It's not like, it's not like everybody gets smashed. It's just not the way it is. A lot of people get smashed. Some people get arrested, but that's also part of the culture of it. Tailgating is great, especially if you're traveling really far. You don't want to have to get there, either metro in or try to find a parking spot for an hour and a half, walk into the stadium, and then sit in a parking lot for 6 hours while you're trying to get out of it. That's your experience? I don't think so. You better at least be drunk somewhere in between there.
A part of
not
it
worried
is
about driving.
it's the experience, right? It's part of the whole experience, and that you get to have the camaraderie with your friends that you don't get to see often, or you all come in town together just for the game. That y'all can just sit, talk, connect, catch up on life before you go watch the game. It's the whole experience piece of it.
Yeah, you make a whole event out of it, because there's a lot of people that don't live like we do right in the city, where it's not a big deal to get down to the stadium. If you're going to the game, you want to get there a couple hours before, you want to cook some food, it's a whole thing. You're planning on what you're doing after the game. You're going to go down on Broadway, you're going to go hit some bars, you're going to do whatever you're going to do. If you're in Los Angeles, you decide to go to a USC game, you got to get on the train, you got to go down to where the tailgating area is. But once you get there, it's the same thing as if you were it's not the same thing as if you were at Ole Miss or at Alabama or at UT, but they're doing their best out there. They're trying their best. I'll tell you that. I'll just be honest, Alex, you're trying your best. I appreciate the effort, but the candle is dim. And when you compare it to the SEC and where the real schools party,
I disagree. You can tailgate in the middle of campus. You can literally at USC have a keg on the steps of your dorm room, like outside door, like no one else.
The problem with
incredible.
that keg that you mentioned is that it's on the campus at USC with the people who are attending the school, and those people are the problem.
It's Saturday. No one's going to school.
Yeah, no.
The whole
USC fans and all that's the problem. So just the people are better in the South. We'll just leave it at that. We have a better time. There's a little bit more. You're walking down the aisle. They're throwing beers at you. They're like, "Hey, have a hot dog. Hey, have a burger." In LA, they're like, "Hey, would you like a vegan, nachos or whatever?" It's just weird. It's not. It's not my.
I actually realized, think about how much goes into allowing tailgating. The amount of security, personnel, cleanup crew, monitoring.
Cleanup.
There's a whole lot. Cleanup crew for that is insane. Plus, cops. I mean, you have to have. People are going to get arrested. You have people.
I guess my question would be, because it's clearly a college football playoff committee thing, because they tailgate for the Chargers and the Rams games, don't they, Alex?
It's just for money. They just want people to attend the paid. No,
They don't make any money
because
out of it.
you give up your liability when you pay for parking. That little fine print on there, basically, you're from a legal perspective, they're safe. Everything's going to be fine for them. The reason that they got rid of it a couple of years ago, I imagine, like JJ said, was probably for COVID. And then they're like, all right, maybe there's still more COVID, and we'll keep it going. But there were still tailgates there. You just had to pay to get into the official tailgates, and there was alcohol and all that. But like you guys are right, it's just not the same. But at the end of the day, these guys they're trying to make money and make as much as they can on this one day wherever they are. So if they're like, hey guys, if we cancel tailgating, we can make an extra $400,000 because there's nowhere else to tailgate. Done. Let's do it.
Right.
Well, you know what? Basically, I think they need to get laid. And
It
I don't
usually
disagree.
it fixes
works for
stuff.
everything.
It does.
maybe
It fixes stuff. A little pent up
maybe
aggression
then they
energy.
can see the light.
Yeah, maybe they can see something. They're all just their eyeballs are floating. They're so backed up.
Yeah.
Guys are closer to Irvine, Texas than we are. So why don't you head on down and let them know?
I will. You know I would.
It was a hesitation for me. Maybe they just need to
Yeah, maybe just a little. So I was going to ask this because at one point, like I thought it was a joke that they weren't allowing tailgate. You know, there was a sign that somebody put up, but it's actually for real. So, transition real quick out of that. Alex was mentioning something that he wanted to talk about when as far as broadcast rights, and something that he'd been thinking about that was like something that we had talked about before, but we didn't quite dig into it or something like that. So I want to hand it over to Alex. Alex, what was it that you wanted to talk about?
So we're gonna do some sports business knowledge for you people here, because sports
Gonna get learned
sports
up.
is gonna get learned up from the professor, I guess. But
the professor.
Yeah, I hope this is
Like that
put me to
football.
sleep.
sports, we all love sports, but there's so much money behind sports.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, without TV, there literally would not be any more sports. There would be no more baseball, no nothing without TV. Because without the massive TV deals that these leagues sign, nobody would make any money. So Major League Baseball, every team makes a profit. NFL, every team makes a profit just on their TV rights alone. So we're gonna talk about that today, because there were some big moves, and one of the things that all of us have, or at least illegally used at one point in time, was up for renewal. So do you guys know what the number one reality show on TV is?
Currently right now.
Reality show. Oh, I have no
I can
idea.
only imagine the atrocity.
The Kardashians, I would have to imagine, just because that's how fucked America is.
I watched that
Any
shit
other guesses?
since
I
Laguna
would
Beach.
think it's probably NFL football.
That's right. The number one reality show, you guys, is sports. It's unscripted. They consider it reality TV. It's not something that you have to watch it live to
So
understand
smart.
it the most, right? There it
So
is,
smart.
Mars.
Feels
So of
nice.
the
That was
100,
way off.
the Kardashians,
Swami Samsonite. I was way off.
Survivor, America's Top Model, the top 100 broadcasts.
I like Duck
2022.
Dynasty. I wish they'd still do shows.
Oh man, does that show
Alaska
even
Bush
on anymore?
people. I like Alaskan Bush people too. Sorry, off topic, but those fellas are funny too. I like those fellas.
Fair enough.
Alone is good shit. In case you're not paying attention, if you're not watching Alone, go watch it. It's fucking good. Moving
I
on.
feel like JJ's like a naked and afraid guy.
No,
He's just hoping to
swamp
see
people.
a boob. He's
Yeah,
just hoping the blurry spot moves out of the way so he can see some bush. That's it.
That was back in the day with was that Laguna Beach Hills. You're just hoping for one of those scantily clad dresses to maybe catch a little side boob.
Yeah.
Make your day.
It so makes sense for you.
JJ
So-
still remembers the days of the JC Penney magazine in the bathroom. So it was slim pickings.
You guys
in
are all
Indiana growing
getting
up.
detention. Detention.
Yeah.
Detention.
All right, sorry,
detention.
Coach.
Focusing.
Back to broad. So NFL is the number one reality. Sports is the number one reality
sports
television
of the
and go.
of the top broadcasts, the top 100 broadcasts of 2022. 82 of those games, 82 of the top broadcasts were NFL games of 2022. Like the other 17, there were some political ones, but all the other ones were sports as well. I think the Oscars were in there somewhere, but that's about it. So the utopian model for sports, the league that makes the most amount of money is the NFL, and they also charge the most for their broadcast rights. So in 2021, now 2 years ago, Paramount, which owns CBS, Fox, Comcast that owns NBC, each of them paid $2 billion a year for 11 years. So every year, $2 billion a year to broadcast the NFL. Disney's paying $2.7 billion a year just to broadcast Monday Night Football.
Just
right?
one
That's
game
a
a
lot
week.
of money,
So
you guys.
crazy.
That's it. That's
So
it.
the others are paying $2 billion a week for what? Three
for
games?
For a game, depending on your local broadcast, maybe 2 games, maybe 1, but yeah,
Jesus.
it's a lot of money. So 29
said-
years ago, go ahead.
You said 2.7 billion for 11 years. I'm trying to do that math. I can't carry one very
No.
well.
2. I don't know how long the Monday Night Football contract is, but the other league,
Mars,
or
help
the
him
other,
out.
yeah.
29,
CBS,
29,
Fox.
something like that.
NBC, they're paying $2 billion a year for 11 years. Ridiculous. Yeah, do the math.
Yeah.
Wow.
In 1994 was the beginning of the NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV. It basically put DirecTV on the map, right? They've been doing NFL Sunday Ticket for 29 years. And the only reason people, like at least some of my friends and probably some of yours as well, the only reason they were getting DirecTV is so they could get NFL Sunday Ticket, right?
That's
right?
true. Yeah, for sure.
So that contract is up this year. And so there were 4 big players who decided to bid on this contract. The first one, Disney, who owns ESPN, ABC. The other one, Apple, Amazon, and then Alphabet. You guys know who Alphabet is?
Google, parent company of Google.
Very good. There it is. The parent company
Leaders,
is Google.
cybersecurity. Let's go.
That's what we
This is
pay.
a
That's what we pay you for.
Do you know what else
That
That was
Alphabet owns?
fast too.
A couple of the other companies they own.
Yeah, all of our privacy.
All of our
oh,
privacy.
Here we go.
They own YouTube, Fitbit, Nest, Waze, all
Damn.
sorts of things.
YouTube too?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they
Yeah,
know what
they
we
own
look
YouTube
at, where
as
we're
well.
going. They got us pegged. I'm pretty boring. We go to the same few spots every day, but that's a lot of information
Yeah.
to have on some people.
Sponsor us, right?
Why not?
Sponsor
I
us.
mean, you got spare change.
They're just
So all 4 of
printing
these
money.
brands, they are printing money. All 4 of these
Yeah.
brands are looking to get in on sports, right?
Of course.
Because and why are they trying to get in on sports, you guys? Why?
money,
why would
money,
this-
money,
It's
money.
all of the top 100 broadcasts. I mean, it's going to generate the most revenue. And
And with those
broadcasts,
broadcasts comes fans, and there's
Eyeballs.
literally a new fan born every day, because please believe when JJ has that baby, it's going to be immediately placarded in red. Probably will have like a Cleveland Guardians hat on as it comes out.
I'm strapping a
Right?
Titans onesie on it as soon as I see it.
We know Twitter's not.
Think about if Meta
Go ahead, go ahead.
Think about if Meta got the game, right? And then they required you to buy their Oculus to watch the game. But while you're in there, you can actually get into a suite where you can network virtually with CEOs of other companies, and that you can actually buy your way into the digital suite. You don't even have to go anywhere. And Meta makes you do that to watch the football game because they buy that. I mean, it's off the top of my head, but like,
Man,
Yeah,
I'm gonna need you to slow down and start from the top, buddy.
I
'cause
figured
that
if
was-
I didn't interrupt
that
right
was-
there, it
that
was
was
going
a
to be
lot.
gone. It
Huh?
was going to be gone. I was going to
Good.
bet it was going to be gone in about 2 seconds.
I
if
think
didn't
I
say
caught.
that.
I think I caught most of it, but
What'd you say?
yeah, there's a
You have
couple.
to
There's a
good thing
couple
you
of.
recorded
Hold on. I got it. All right.
We've got proof that will be my idea first, and I'll be able to.
I feel
like-
Are they even play? I feel like they're not even playing in front of real people now. They're just in a dome somewhere when they're all. There's people
can
in
talk
it,
about
like it's like the bubble
can-
back when the COVID playoffs with the NBA. There's like
We can
pictures
talk
of
about
there's
the
pictures of
metaverse
people.
on another day. But the reason that all these companies want is obviously the eyeballs. They want, new sports people. Sports isn't going away. Fans aren't going away. They only grow and become more passionate the older they get. So
Agreed.
Apple's already in on this. Apple has, Apple TV now, Apple Plus, whatever it is. They signed last year. They signed Major League Baseball. They started broadcasting games on Apple. They also signed this year Major League Soccer. That's a 10-year deal, but only for $2.5 billion total. And that'll be, you'll be able to buy a season pass for $100 or $15 a month, whatever, to watch your MLS team. The cool thing that they're doing about that, if you are a season seat holder of an MLS team, you automatically get to watch your team for free. You get the free subscription. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And Apple wanted to do the same thing when they were bidding on this NFL Sunday ticket deal. They wanted to change some stuff up and make it easier for people to watch their team, maybe not pay as much money. And the NFL was like, no, fuck that. So
it's all about that money.
Amazon came in, all about that money. Amazon came in. They paid $1 billion for Thursday night football for one season, for numerous seasons. I'm sorry.
Yeah. How many seasons did
$1
they
billion?
get?
I don't remember. 7 years, I believe. Yeah, 7 years of Thursday night football for $1 billion a year. Those Thursday games were horrible. The
I would
broadcast
say,
were
yeah,
good,
Thursday or womp.
But
But
you think about that over 7 years, 14, they get 14 games probably on Thursday night. That's what 140,000 per week.
They did 10 this year.
It's 7 billion.
It's more than that, buddy.
What'd you say? 1 billion divided by 7 years, right?
No, it's 1 billion a year. It'd be 1
per
billion
year.
divided by 14.
That's 7 billion. Gotcha.
Let's not do math on the air. Let's change it. Let's just say there's a lot of zeros involved, and there's a reason. I'm glad that I have all the services, so it doesn't really matter. I'll be covered. But
so the NFL said, we really want to use the streaming service because it's going to bring in a younger audience. They'll be able to advertise it as premium content for get more fans. And there's a built-in fan base, right? Even if you don't have Apple Plus, but all of a sudden your football team is on there and you're a huge Titans fan, you're going to be like, oh shit, I have to get Apple Plus. So that's only going to boost their revenue as well. So Apple bowed out. They were the last to bow out, but they did take over the Super Bowl halftime show sponsorship, which used to be sponsored by Pepsi for 10 years. Any idea who is performing at the halftime show this year? Like a month?
Isn't Rihanna?
It is Rihanna. Way
Yeah,
to go.
I heard that,
Umbrella,
yeah.
Ella.
Yeah, leave it to the girl. Leave it to
obviously-
the girl to remember that.
I love her.
Yeah. But obviously Apple has Apple Music, so they're going to try to plug that. It's a good tie-in for them.
For sure.
That makes sense.
But the winner of this to get the NFL Sunday ticket moving forward for the next 7 years is Alphabet, and it's going to be broadcast on YouTube TV.
Yes.
So
that's what we got. Let's go.
YouTube TV has about 5 million paid subscribers. Obviously, that's going to increase now that they signed this. They are going to pay somewhere between $2.5 billion a year. It's about $1 billion more than DirecTV was paying. But they're going to, they're once again going to attract a younger audience. All those people on YouTube, they'll be able to advertise their own stuff over all of those videos. It's probably going to be, they haven't released the pricing, but the NFL didn't want it to go down or up. So it'll probably be very similar to what it was on DirecTV, somewhere probably around like $80 a month, or like if you want the fancy package, $150 a month. It won't be cheap, but they did talk about being able to like buy one-offs. Like, I just want to watch this one game. There's a possibility that could happen. So
Black Friday game. Amazon's got the Black Friday game.
Yeah. That's crazy though, to think that even Apple bowed out. They're like, okay, that's even
Apple wanted,
Yeah,
they wanted more. They wanted to be able to offer it more. at a cheaper price to more people and give other people options. Like, oh, if you do this and this, you can only pay this much money. The NFL just like, nah, we just want to see more money. So,
well, and you think about too, like Nickelodeon. So, that was new this year, right? Of, airing all of the NFL games or a couple of years ago on NFL games on Nickelodeon. So you'd see the slime and they added all the animation so that it got kids involved and wanting to watch, sports more and watch NFL to get them, more involved than it would be on other channels. So
it's been successful from what
Seems.
I've been able to gather too. It's been successful.
One of the better broadcasts.
Makes sense. They're just trying to get, the audience to engage in at a younger rate too.
Yeah, I'd love it.
So it is the end. It is the end of the Red Zone channel, and that has been going on for 29 years. But I imagine the NFL said that they're going to pick up the slack and create their own version of that. And then I'm sure YouTube will come out with something similar as well, where you can just watch all the scoring plays. But it's been a long run for DirecTV for people who still have like a giant satellite TV. Everything's streaming now, guys. So, and the money's where it's at.
Yeah, we'll follow the money. Everything will change, and that's what we'll do. It's funny how things change and how quickly the dollars turn into zeros and zeros and zeros and zeros. And we're talking billions now per year. It's crazy, but we'll keep an eye on that so that we all know what to get, so that we can follow all the NFL games and all the different games that are coming up. But we're gonna take a quick break. YouTube TV sounds like the way to go. But we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back with Shower Thoughts with JJ.
Shower Thoughts with JJ.
So when do you decide it's time to replace your underwear? Kids today have no idea what the grind that dial-up internet is. They're there to cradle my taters. So until they're not cradling my taters, I'm rocking with them. They're holding my tater set. That's when it's time for underwear replacement. Showed a little side boob, put a computer in the family room and watch that kid grow through adversity.
Vagina stories.
Hey, why's the printer out? And I scooted. She woke up to me with my hand in a bag of Cheetos. I was stumbling and bumbling. Two tall boys, you get a shot.
You got to stop pooping your pants.
And I trusted a fart and lost. Hey guys, welcome to JJ's Shower Thoughts. As I am approaching my 30s and about to start to come down the hill and be a grown-ass man, I was thinking back to when I was a kid and what experiences we all had that kids today just have no idea. And what first popped up was kids today have no idea what the grind that dial-up internet is. They have it so good. We have phones, tablets, TVs, 4G, 5G. Tweeter's taking the Oculus to the bathroom. You have instantaneous internet anywhere and everywhere. I was thinking back in the day when I had a computer, my family, I was sure like everybody else did, they put our one computer in the family room, and I would have to go out, take a lap. Where's mom? Where's dad? Do another lap. And I hop on and hope to God that AOL had some picture that, like Nick said, showed a little side boob. Got to do another print lap. Got to run back. Got to hit the print. You're like sitting there, you're sweating your bullets, sweating bullets. Like, oh, hell yeah, I made it. And you're huffing it off into the next room. Or even like Nick said, too, back in the day, it was so slow on dial-up that I'm like, just fiending for my mom's JCPenney catalog to come in each month so I can swipe that mug from the mailbox and take it straight to the house, man. So Tweeter, I know you're raising little ones. I think you take away all internet, put a computer in the family room and watch that kid grow through adversity.
Adversity.
Real adversity.
What's funny to me is it sounds like the only reason that you were using this computer was to fucking beat off. It's like, what if Joe the Fifth is like, hey, I got this school project. I need to look up dinosaurs, Dad. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna watch over your shoulder.
Vaginosaurs.
Yeah, vaginosaurs.
Exactly.
Oh my God. And that's what makes it even funnier is that I know JJ's mom and dad. So I can imagine how traumatic it would have been for them if they would have walked on JJ on some blurry picture of Pamela Anderson from Baywatch on the screen, like kind of coming in at one bar at a time and, dial up internet. What's funny is that I see when he says that he had to print it off. So what I picture is that he's got this stack somewhere hidden in his room
1,000%.
of all these like horribly printed pictures of like all these half naked women because back in the day, like there was no like Pornhub, there was no easily accessible naked women. Is you can almost accidentally find naked people on the internet now. You can try to be like, hey, I'm gonna look up these new sunglasses, and all of a sudden it's like, God bless America. Like, why is that? It's like there are kids around, man. I'm at Starbucks. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, I didn't look at that. It's ridiculous. Back then, if you had to look at it, it was either blurry on the channel that you couldn't quite get all the time, or it was like JJ said, and he was trying to print one out. And I remember the first time my buddy's brother brought over a little magazine, and he was like, hey, check this out. He called him, he said, them are Hooters right there. Because it was a Hooters magazine, and when they weren't naked, they were just in their outfits, in their bathing suits and stuff. He said, them are Hooters. And I was like, hell yeah, they are. I see them. I'm 10 years old, but I know what I'm looking at. Meanwhile, JJ's in Mitchell, Indiana on dial-up AOL, running around the corner checking to see if Marla's looking or not, to see if he can catch a.
Did you even have a color printer, or was it like a dot matrix deal where it's just like one line at a time?
So we stepped up to color printer, and I think my parents started to figure out something's going on because they would go to print like actual documents. They're like, "Hey, why's the printer out?" So it was always at it, always. And so it only just goes into the black cartridge. There
was plenty of black, but the color was always out. JJ was printing 8x10s of women he's never seen in his life before. And
what was your
that's so funny
AOL screen name, JJ? Do you remember your AOL screen name? Do you all remember your AOL screen name?
I do, actually. Yeah, I do.
I have to think.
Go for it. Hit me.
Oh no, it was just C. It was C. Like I went to a school called C&U, and it was just C Beach and Bum U. I remember this kid X. He's rest in peace. He's one of my best friends in the entire world. He died a couple years ago. He showed up freshman year in 2001 with "Soak Dem Panties for You" as his instant messaging. And I was like, "Jeez Louise, I am way ill prepared."
That's aggressive.
You
super ill prepared.
Yeah, if your
just in case you were
talking to somebody with that name on the screen name?
Who are you talking to?
It's hard to keep a girl if your name
You're not
is
talking to your mom on AIM. Come on.
No,
now.
but if she
JJ,
comes over your shoulder, I mean, it is in the public, place like
she walks through the family room. If she walks through the family room at JJ's house and sees her talking to "Soak Them Panties for You," he's gonna be like, "Excuse me, quick question, who you talking to?" His name's Greg. Bullshit, his name's Greg. Bullshit, his name's Greg. His name's not Greg. His name Greg's name is not "Soak Them Panties for You."
Oh man.
That dude's name's definitely Joe. Definitely Joe.
No surprise.
Probably Hudson, if you want to be more specific.
But my parents didn't give me much leeway on the computer, which is probably why I started doing laps and scoping out the area. But so my mom created my AOL and just Jared's Messenger. Now thinking back on it,
Jared's Messenger.
So they were right to give me no leeway for reasons we've already established. But when we got a little older, my mom got my brother and I our own computers in the family room. That was the biggest deal ever. So the first job I ever had, I was working with some older guys. He's like, "Hey man, you know what the bang bus is?" And I was like, "No, what's a bang bus?" He's like, "It's awesome. They pitch these chicks out. It's a porno. They throw them out. You got to check it out." So I sneak in the house, and I was like, "I'm not going to look this up on my computer just in case I get caught." And so I looked up my brother's computer, and it shut the whole thing down. And it said it blasted on the screen that it was like, "Your computer's shut down watching pornography." And I scooted. Wore it with the best of them, man. My mom took it into work. She knew a guy that did IT, probably like you, tweeter. Can you imagine like a coworker walk in? I don't know what my boys are up to. This is what the screen says. They're just playing games.
Yeah, he's playing games all right.
Yeah, he was.
But that was pretty smart on your part, though.
Yeah, he bailed out.
Yeah, I'm sure that worked.
I'm out.
I'm sure that worked really well.
I
My whole head
remember
hurts, bro.
my screen name was Hot Chick 3306.
Hot chick.
Yeah.
The hot chick.
06. She was a hot chick.
And it was Hot Chick with no K at the end. That just
so she was more like Hot Chic.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. 33 was my basketball number. I know that. I don't know anything about that.
See, I was Patriot Baller 13 because
all
I
guys
played
were
for the
ballers.
Patriot, and I played all the sports, so I was Patriot Baller 13.
I remember,
Hey,
yeah,
Jai.
talking to guys.
That's right.
All of
Represent.
them had baller name in
What?
there. Like all the guys, all the athletes, and I'd be like, I want to get a screen name. And I remember all of them that I had crushes on all had baller in their names because
Guess she's got a type. What can I
Baller
say?
69. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
mm-hmm. There you go.
Something Titsworth.
I remember though, dial up,
Hey.
it was loud. It was like,
Oh yeah, you couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't sneak on dial-up internet. It was the neighbors knew you were getting on that shit. I'm like, why are they calling an alien planet? What is
Yeah.
that sound? Why does it sound that way?
it sounded like it was dying.
I think it was intentional. I think they were like, I want to make sure everybody knows that this person's getting on the internet because they're probably doing some shit that they shouldn't. Now that they put it on your phone. So if you want to be a delinquent, you can do it privately. But it used to be semi-public. Used to have to do it at school or in Jared's case in the living room. You had to do this stuff, and they're thinking, okay, 80% of the people who get on this interwebs, they're doing it for tits or ass or some sort of delinquent activities. So we're gonna make sure that when they do, it's the loudest process possible, and that none of the phones work. The lights flicker. We want to make sure that everything, it looks like almost like a paranormal like situation when somebody's trying to get on the internet, because Jared's mom needs to know in the back 40 that Jared's about to get on the internet and do something he shouldn't, so she can come running. Well, let's be honest, she's not running anywhere, but she's going to walk as quickly as possible to get to the computer to see what Jared's doing. And I think that that's a hilarious visual, and I'm going to laugh about that for a long time.
She's permanently got the green apple quick step. Like, that's her real walk.
Yeah, she always looks like she's holding in a fart.
We're gonna need to see that. I'm gonna have to see that.
You're not gonna. You're
I'll
not
say
gonna
you
want to
that
see
one.
that.
JJ's
We
gonna
could
have to
we
show
could
us
probably
that.
we could probably capture that on video. But if we start digging into Marla Jones stories, it's gonna be a long day at the office. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's she's done some stuff that'll make your stomach hurt, man. It's hilarious. But we're not going to talk about Marla Jones on this show because I think we've made sure that we shouldn't. But Marla Jones is a great American because she produced JJ Jones, which we all love. But thank you for that, JJ. I think that that little short trip down memory lane was much needed.
Tried twice right there. I laughed. I haven't laughed that hard in a while. That was funny.
But thank God we don't have those days. We've moved on. We've got a little bit faster internet. We can all get on something like this. Can you imagine how awful the connection would be if we'd have tried to do something like this back in the AOL days? It was impossible. It was something that we would have never imagined. You know what I mean?
Those talk on phone underwater.
Right. So, we've taken a little bit of time off talking about the NFL. Last week we deliberately took the week off from talking about the NFL because Damar Hamlin was fighting for his life. Between that show and this show, we are all pretty stoked to be able to say that he has not only woken up, been able to communicate with his teammates, been able to communicate with his family, but he's also been shipped back to Buffalo and then was released today from Buffalo's hospital, and he is going to be back home in his house sleeping tonight with his family, and that is nothing short of a miracle. Thank you to all the people who prayed for that young man. Thank you to God for granting that miracle. Thank you for the medical staff who were on site and who acted. Thank you to all the medical institutions and training facilities that train those individuals and put them in a position to be able to do what they did. Thank you to everybody along the lines that helped do something that we're all sitting here talking about a miracle, but there's a reality that there's a lot of people that do that every single day. They wake up every single day, whether they're first responders at an EMT level, whether they're firefighters, police, nurses, etc., that do this every single day, that's how they behave, that the way they handle their lives, and they save lives every day, and they don't get enough credit because it didn't happen at the 50-yard line. But the reality is that what they do every day is absolutely just as important, and I want to make sure that they know that and they hear that. So thank you to everybody who's out there saving lives every day, because we're a better place because of it. So thank you.
Nice.
Amen.
Amen.
And Damar Hamlin woke up. What did he say? Did we win?
Did we win?
You love it. You love it. He came back neurologically. They're saying he's fine. They're saying that he's already talking about wanting to play again. I think that, that's months down the road for him to be able to say that. But the fact that he's neurologically there, he doesn't have any lapses, he doesn't have anything like that. Looks like he's not going to have any long-term problems due to this, as at least, it being this shortly removed from the accident or from the collision. All things point to it being good news, and I think that's an amazing thing for not only the NFL and for football, but for humanity. I think it was one of those things where sometimes tragedy brings people closer together. It opens the doors for conversation, and it makes people appreciate things that they might ordinarily not have appreciated the same way. And so sometimes tragedy, whether it be death in a family or whether it be something like this that happens so publicly, it definitely opened my eyes. It opened the door for conversations with people, and I appreciated that. And so God bless Damar Hamlin for getting through that accident. Thank you for his health and that he's back on his feet, and hopefully he'll get back to 100% recovery, whether he plays football or not. But yeah, that's pretty awesome to see. So I definitely wanted to address that, because we haven't, like I said, we haven't talked about the NFL in a couple of weeks. But there has been a lot of stuff going on in the NFL. Here we are. Playoffs are set. JJ had a really good idea. I think we should talk about it over the course of the next couple of minutes and see what you guys think. I think that we should take the playoff bracket, the way that it stands, and we should all do a March Madness style where we all pick the winners of each game all the way down the line, and we see who comes out with the winning bracket. We can, each round can be worth more points, blah, 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 just like a March Madness bracket would be. Just maybe a cool way to do the pick 'em as opposed to picking against the spread. I think we'll definitely put our picks out against the spread as well and over the over-unders, just because I think that's fun, even though I get roasted because apparently I'm an idiot every week and I should definitely not quit my day job, which I don't disagree with that in the slightest. So thank you for the feedback. But we're still definitely going to put that stuff out there. And so, what do you guys think about that? You think we should do a playoff bracket like March Madness style?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
That'd
think
be
that'd be cool,
fun.
right? Yeah. So I think that the NFL Network or somebody like that put something out that I re-put out on our Instagram at Nashville Stash. So, again, follow us on social media. TikTok, Instagram at Nashville Stash. We put out all of our picks. We put out a bunch of stuff, a lot of clips of the show, teasers, different parts of the interviews that we got coming up, etc. Go check us out on the social media. But like I said, we'll put the picks out for the playoffs. But this weekend, there's some games that are almost pointless, in my opinion, and there's some games that really have my attention. What about you guys? Let's start with you, Alex. Which game in the NFC has got your attention the most?
Not the Seahawks. Way to go on! I wish the Detroit Lions were still playing, man. MCDC.
Yeah, they were fun
Dude,
to
that
see.
team is awesome. I've never been so excited about the Detroit Lions before.
Right?
But yeah, and they're not playing. But thanks to them, Aaron Rodgers potentially playing his last game, which I imagine we'll talk about another time. But
what did Jamal Williams say Monday Night Football? JJ sent it to me. He said, first swag kaze leader, the hidden vintage of the dead, whatever he said. I was like, what is that?
I watched it 5 times.
Figure?
I still have no clue. I have no idea what's going on there.
JJ, Alex, did you figure out what it was? Does it have something to do with the O-line? What is that? What is that? Is that some sort of cult thing? Do we know?
I'm gonna go with no.
We need to dig into that because he was pretty stoked about it, and it's up on his Instagram too. Like that's a thing for him. Like he's first swag kaze. That's I don't know what that is. We got to look into it.
Broke Barry Sanders' touchdown record. He should be pretty damn happy.
Yeah, so he can be first swag kaze, whatever he wants if he wants to be. Right? He earned it.
Amen.
All right. Anyway, so sorry I interrupted you. So definitely not the Seahawks 49ers game. Okay.
Nah, probably not. I'm just excited that the Seahawks made it to the playoffs, but I don't give them a chance in the world. Hopefully Brock Purdy comes to the playoffs are a little bit too much for him and he throws a lot of interceptions, but we got hurt defenders. It's just not looking good for us.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if I could be excited about anything else.
I wouldn't be less confident in Brock Purdy necessarily than Geno Smith. I mean,
That's what we were saying. He set the record for the Seahawks franchise this year, passing. I think the reality is that Geno has every opportunity to step up to the plate and beat the 49ers as Brock Purdy does to be average. I mean,
I
let's be
guess
honest. Like, I don't think Shanahan's going to put Purdy in a position where he can absolutely take just an absolute shit. But I think that he could be average, and they could sub their toe on some stuff. And a team like Seattle, where a team like coached by Pete Carroll, who's been there before, been in the playoffs, Geno's got some guys. I mean, they could do it. They could do some things, and they could surprise somebody. My issue is always like this. They could win one. It's like TCU. They beat Michigan. They won in the first one, but then the next round, who are they looking at playing? I haven't looked at the bracket, but if they were to win that game,
Yes.
they're going to play against the Eagles.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
So would you rather see 49ers Eagles, or would you rather see Seahawks Eagles?
You wouldn't.
I don't want to see the 49ers ever win as a Seahawks fan. I think the game, I'm not excited about any of the NFC games. Like Giants Vikings might be the best game, but I don't really want to watch. Cowboys Bucks, like neither team is good, but they're both in the playoffs. So
No,
like,
but I want to watch Brady in the playoffs is good TV. Wouldn't you agree, JJ?
I'm excited for that game, not in terms of like it's not going to be the best teams, but I think Brady in the playoffs is always exciting. And I think Brady's going to shove up the Cowboys' ass. We're going to see a head coach get fired after the post game.
You think McCarthy gets gone, right?
See ya.
Dungy. Wow. Who do they go get? You think they go get Sean Payton, and he brings in his A team?
Ooh, I like that.
Because the word on the streets, he's been assembling this A team of coaches to wherever he's going to go. They can't talk to him in Denver until after January something?
17th.
Yeah. Damn, got it on our calendar.
For Jerry Jones to just be like, you know what? Screw this. I'm doing what I want to do next wave. I think McCarthy's getting canned post game. It'll be awesome.
Win? Is Brady done if they win?
Whoever wins that game is getting eliminated.
If Brady
goes plays for the Raiders.
Like, I'm watching that game just in case it's his last game for some reason.
Okay. Interesting point.
I'm not saying I'm definitely doing it. I'm just saying that there's probably some appeal there. I think it's an interesting game. He just dropped 432 with 4 total touchdowns in his last game.
It's amazing what he's doing. It's great. Tom Brady in the playoffs. That's what we were talking about. You don't bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs, but the Cowboys tend to cowboy, right? Like there's a reason why they've stubbed their toe in the first round. The only time they've got there in the last whatever. The Cowboys cowboy.
We stomped them real good last week. That was nice. It was useless, but it was fun.
Well, I'm sure you enjoyed it. Heineke did he play, or did Wentz get to play?
No, we had Sam Howell. He came in and actually he threw a touchdown on his very first ever NFL pass.
Well, it's all downhill from here, huh?
Yeah, but we should have scored at least 9 more points, probably 10 more. We missed 2 field goals, an extra point, and threw a pick in the end zone. I mean, we shit all over them. It was bad. So that just gives me less confidence to think that they're going to go in and beat Tampa Bay. They could. It's a toss-up game, I think, but
were you wearing your Sean Taylor jersey?
I did.
Yeah. Boy.
I did.
Good.
It's one of the only articles of clothing I have that makes me avoid looking like I have a dad bod. It's pretty flattering. So, and it worked. I'll tell you that.
All right. Good for you.
It's a good luck charm.
Brown chicken, brown cow. I see it. Let's go, JJ. What's up?
The Twitter trolls can take a break on you and shit on me if they need to, because I'm going Bucks +3 all day. Tom Brady in the playoffs. Also got a Cowboys team. I'm not super confident if they win. I think they're winning on a last-second field goal with no time on the clock, and you're pushing.
Okay, let me ask you this. The Bucks have been not great all year.
Right.
Terrible.
Now Tom Brady has great weapons. They've been there. They've got good running backs. They've got good pieces. They've got good pieces on defense. They've got 2 of the best linebackers in the game. They've got on paper, they've got a lot of reasons to be excited about their chances, right? They just haven't shown up all year. Now, Tom Brady goes off for 430 or whatever. They get a good win. They get in the playoffs. They always say, you always hear on these documentaries, they say, you just want to get in the tournament. You just want to get in. At the end of the day, you just want to get hot at the right time. You just want to get in. Do we throw out the last 18 weeks and look at who's in the games, who's been there before, matchups, defenses and offenses, and who's injured and who's not, and throw out the last, 5 months? Because I think
it's not baseball. I feel like you could do that in baseball, but not the NFL.
What do you mean by that?
In baseball, when you make the playoffs, the season is brand new. And so whether you've been playing well or not, as soon as you're in, it's a different thing versus the NFL. Because there's just not that many games. So you got to look at the history.
The Bengals last year, yeah.
Well, in baseball, yeah, exactly. I feel like you can't compare baseball to another sport because that you play 7-game series and every pitcher, every game is a totally new situation because you got different pitchings situations, you got different lineups, whatever. You can take players in and out of a basketball game or a football game, but it's not the same as baseball. Baseball, every day of a 5-game series is a completely brand new day.
But look at the playoffs. Look at the Dodgers, the Yankees. Neither one of them made it very far. I mean, they got beat against the team that they beat up on the entire season. I think the NFL is a different beast. There's just way less games.
You're right about the fact that having the familiarity with another team has a lot to beat. They say it's hard to, in college football, they'll say it's hard to beat a team twice. When Alabama and Georgia play, they'll say it's hard to beat a team twice. And in baseball, they play more times, but the same ideology I think applies. It's hard to beat a team that you've played 12 times already this year, more 4 times in a row or whatever the case may be in a 7-game series. I think that the familiarity still applies. I think, and you're right there, but I still think that it can change one game to the next because there's so much different in just the way that the game's played. Is the way the NFL is one game, 60 minutes. When this game's over, you're moving on or you're going home. That one and done aspect of the NFL playoffs makes me feel more like you should forget about the last 18 weeks and think about who's on the field now, because there is no tomorrow. They might have been pacing themselves at week 10. Playoffs, there is no tomorrow. You're getting all systems go. You're getting everything they got, right? I don't know. I just feel like in the NFL with that one and done kind of playoff situation that you can bet on a team like the Jaguars to go a little bit deeper. You can bet on a team like the Bucks to win a game that they maybe shouldn't because of experience, right? Because they've been there before, because Tom Brady's there. The Tom Brady effect might win you a game you might not, especially against a team like the Cowboys who are pretty good at shooting themselves in the foot.
Well, and didn't you say I remember we talked about the Rams last year. You were like, they weren't really good, but then they got hot at the right time. So it can be a lot too about, and then they end up winning, the Super Bowl. So it can be too about who's getting hot at the right time and the right moment for it to be their moment to shine and show up.
Right. Look at the Phillies.
The Bucs season. The Bucs.
Right. I mean,
well, Brady before the year missed a couple weeks of training camp right before the season started, and there was mystery around all of it. He comes into the season. There's obviously distractions going on. I'm not saying that was the catalyst. Everybody's probably got different theories, but he did play like dog shit for sure. Yeah. Until they got divorced, and then they started winning, and he started putting up some numbers. Chris Godwin was recovering from an ACL, I believe, injury. Julio Jones has been just in and out. And what's the space that they got from the Falcons? I already forgot his name, the 4-string guy. He was actually supposed to come on and be good. Gage, thank you, Gage. He was in and out. He lost Gronk. They got Todd Bowles as a new coach, and he's 45. I mean, there's just a lot of things that could be factors.
Yeah, you're right. There are all those play into it.
Alex, in the best of 7-game series in baseball, more times than not, in 7 games, the best team is gonna win out. I think the NFL, you got one shot at it. So if the team doesn't show up, another one does. I think the Bucks, Brady had a good week last week. They're on the rise. Think they're peaking at the
At
right
home.
time. And they're at home. And then the McCarthy ordeal, like he's going to press conferences answering whether he's going to get fired or not. if that doesn't weigh on him at all, God bless him, man. He's steel. But yeah, there's no way he's not walking into like I may have to pack up and move tomorrow morning.
Yeah, the pressure in that building has to be immense. Like it's probably like nothing we can really wrap our mind around to work under Jerry Jones in that building with the expectation, considering we're going on 30 years almost since they've won a Super Bowl.
Well, and then Jerry Jones is asked, and he's and he says it's his fault and takes it on himself, has nothing to do with Mike, and it's not him, and he's not his job isn't on the line. But of course, that's all fluff. You can't say what you really think or what's really going on behind closed doors. But
that's Mike for Sean Payton in a heartbeat.
I guess my question would be this then: if that's the case, is that you can't really talk about what's going on behind closed doors. Why can't you? Because they'll drop you at the what we got. Kingsbury, he's out. Lovie Smith's out. He gone. You got there's two more. What's the other ones that are out?
Well, there's two others. Oh, Broncos.
Hackett got released a couple of weeks ago.
I think Ron Rivera could be on that.
Then the Panthers. But then there's been 4 coaches kick Bond off the Titans staff. Todd Downing was released a couple of days ago. Robinson was let go mid-season. So ownership is cleaning house for the most part, and from all intents and purposes, all reports say that Vrabel's been very involved in the selection of the new GM and what direction that they want to go. So it's clear that the ownership is making a commitment to Vrabel, which is great to see because I love the way that he runs his show. But there's a lot of holes to be filled, and you
guys should get AJ Brown. That guy's pretty good.
Yeah, I wish we would have had a shot at him at one point. But you look at the carousel of coaches in the NFL, and you start to say, okay, it's TBD on McDaniel in Oakland. Kingsbury's out in Arizona. Lovie Smith's out in Houston. Jeff Saturday's out in Indianapolis. Matt Rule was let go mid-season. They like the interim guy. Like, Joe, you're local to there, so you might be able to give us some insight on what they're saying about the interim head coach out in Carolina. But there's a handful of jobs that are about to be available.
Maybe Sean at the Rams.
Sean McVay might retire.
He might pause.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's going to go take a break and go rake in some Fox News money for about 10, 15 years. And then he's going to come back and is, at 45 and then get back into coaching and go try to win another Super Bowl, which good for him. But at the end of the day, you're looking at a handful, 5, 6 jobs I just mentioned that are going to be available. And we're going to go back into this conversation of who's getting these jobs. Obviously, I think Eric Bieniemy from Kansas City deserves an opportunity. But you're looking at, Kellen Moore. I know that the Panthers have requested an opportunity to interview him when the time comes.
D'Amico Ryan, I think he's got a good shot for being a Vikings finalist last year.
Yeah, and he's had a really good year for the 49ers on their defensive side. I know that, Carolina's interviewed Frank Reich. Indianapolis interviewed somebody named Bubba Ventrone. I don't know who this is. Does anybody know Bubba Ventrone or Ventroni? Whatever. Nope. Broncos have interviewed Jim Caldwell, and obviously we know Jim Harbaugh as well. So they got a thing for Jims out in Denver. Maybe they're thinking that Jim's the way to go.
The Rams job might be available too. Sean McVay might just go take a extended honeymoon with his Instagram wife and go do something else for a while. He doesn't want to rebuild.
Alex must have been texting. They have a rebuild.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. It's funny you should mention that.
Damn.
Man,
sorry,
Sean McVay might retire.
Instagram.
Doggone it. Caught
Question
like
for you: If
what an
if the
idiot.
Texans don't win that last game, get the number 1 pick, does Lovie Smith get fired? Because they promoted him.
Yeah, he gets
knowing-
fired.
They promoted him
Of course.
knowing they have a horseshit roster. So like, what's he gonna do with that?
I think
He's
he
gonna
knew he was getting
lose.
fired, and that's probably
They
why
were, he was a place filler. They're
"I'll see
like,
y'all
hey,
later."
you want $5 million? Come on.
Fair enough.
Come wrangle these cats for about 14 months and then right off into the sunset, because he was working his ass off at Illinois recruiting.
Mhm.
He was working. Think about a college job compared to not giving a shit NFL job. You didn't have to recruit.
Texans.
Yeah, he just sat down there with that
Especially
old
Illinois.
redneck. Yeah, he didn't care.
It's not like he's at Alabama and at Michigan SEC school where you kind of. I'm not saying you're not recruiting, but it's not Illinois.
No, it's not.
You're begging to pull somebody against Bowling Green State.
Yeah. He's just hoping. Yeah, a Bowling Green State, and he's like, oh. Because I mean, Big Ten for Illinois is not a fun weekend usually. It's just not good. I mean, they've had good teams as of late here and there, but still, I don't think he was the guy. But I don't get to watch a lot of Big Ten football.
You hit on Cliff Kingsbury. I don't love that he got let go out here. I think there was a lot of internal stuff, but that also could fall into his. I have it on good source out here in AZ that DeAndre Hopkins, the last 2 weeks when he didn't play, he actually packed up his shit and left. He said, fuck this. Him and Jefferson, the wide receivers coach, get into it. He was like, fuck it, I'm out. Bounced. Kyler Murray has been somewhat vocal that they don't get along. So it's not his fault to one degree. He had injuries. Then a guy leaves. I don't know if that's his fault or not, but he'll land on his feet. He's going to be at Alabama or an OC at New England.
What about?
I think he stays in the pro.
What about Belichick? What about Belichick scooping him up as an OC? They don't got an OC in New England. Kingsbury would fit up there. Belichick can mold him into a good little OC, but it leaves a lot of holes, right? So it goes back to the conversation of eventually these college coaches who are having success, the Lincoln Rileys of the world, the Dabo Sweeneys, the whoever's, they're gonna start to get that pull right to the NFL. Do what?
They make too much money now. They make too much. Usually, back in the day, the reason you would leave college was to go make so much money in the NFL. Now college coaches are making almost as much money as they are in the NFL, like multiple $5-10 million. So like there is some pull, but like why would you want to go aside from not having to recruit?
Right. So where are the coaches going to come from? You keep firing people. We keep pulling OCs and different, everybody gets a shot. Like, what are we doing? Like, eventually people like, I don't know, Jeff Saturday are going to start getting shots at coaching.
Just kind of feels like he turned around. He's like anybody, coach.
It's going to be the young analytics guys like you're seeing in Miami, like you saw with Sean McVay. It's going to be the guys that you don't know about, but they're going to be like, oh yeah, this guy's great. And now he's a head coach at 33.
All right. Well, I wanted to ask one question, but it leads me into another thing because Aaron Rodgers, we might have seen his last game the other night.
We did.
That was rough stuff.
And one of the questions that I was having the other day was, what does he do if let's say he's done? Let's say he is done and he decides he's not getting traded and going. Let's say he's done. What does he do? Right? Like there's all the questions, and then they were talking about all the quarterbacks that are coming out of the game. There's the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady's going to be coming out of the game soon. You got Aaron Rodgers, you got all these people. Drew Brees is just getting into coaching. At what point do you start to see these names start to regenerate within the coaching ranks, right? When you start to see the Peyton Mannings on the sidelines, when you start to see the Tom Brady's after he does, how long do they spend in the booth before they want to start to get on the sidelines, or is that even a possibility? Is that something that is never going to ever happen? I guess that was the two sides of it. It's like, which would, I tend to lean towards the never going to happen. Maybe Peyton Manning, maybe just because it just seems like when watching the Manning cast, he's still got that, like,
he does
that little itch to get in there and like kind of coach and like teach. And when he's coaching his kid in flag football, he's just kind of got that look, but I think that it's a pipe dream to think we're going to start to see some of those names start to come back and do stuff like, I mean, you're seeing names like Ed Reed's going to coach somewhere. Where's Ed Reed going to coach now? He's going to be the head coach somewhere. Deion Sanders is coaching now. You've got, Phillip Rivers is coaching in high school. You've got some of these players that go on to coach after they get done playing. And it's always fun to see, and it's a fun story, but it never really materializes into the NFL. And I think it's as much as what she said about what Deion had to say about, I don't want to coach a bunch of rich guys. The guys that were played in the NFL probably have nothing to do with coaching the guys that are in the NFL, because they know what the guys in the NFL are like. And they're like, I don't want to coach a bunch of guys like that were like me.
Right.
I think Mike McCarthy walking into a room. He's like, all right, guys, listen up. And they're like, yes.
Fuck you.
We're ready for you to talk, Mike. Yeah. Mr. McCarthy.
Fire us up, fat boy. Let's go.
That's exciting.
Come on with it. I need a little motivation tonight. My coffee's not working. Yeah. I don't know. It's just something to think about. But back to Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers does retire, what's he doing?
Well, I hope his first thing that he's doing is cutting his hair and washing it. Oh, Lord. But anyways, I don't see him going to.
He doesn't have one
to coach, or maybe
you see him.
Analyst.
You see him turning down $60 million. That's how much he would make next year if he played. That's his contract for next year would be $60
I think that's just if he plays for the Packers. I think they can trade him.
If he goes back to the Packers,
they pay a chunk of it, and then whoever, I think it's like 30 million, 31 million.
If he goes, the Vegas odds of him returning are obviously with the Packers, and it's just hard to turn down $60 million.
I also think he's like Tom Brady. It's hard for him to just walk away. And I think even his, his relationship that he was engaged to Shailene Woodley or whatever was about that. But I think he's very much like Brady in that it's going to take a lot for him to finally just walk away.
I want everybody to really pay attention to what I'm about to say. Your memories are short. Go back and watch the videos of the last game of last year. Aaron Rodgers walked off the field with the same little twinkly, soaking it in look in his eyes that he did the other night. The dude is going to do the same shit he always does. He's going to say, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go off to the Bahamas. I'm going to get ripped on ayahuasca. I'm going to have a whole bunch of weird sex with a bunch of weirdos. I'm going to take the Bucks heiress with me. It's going to be a whole thing in a hut with a little heater and the little hot rocks and steam. And don't worry about it. And I'm going to totally decompress from this bullshit. And I'm going to have my man bun from the State Farm commercial, and I'm going to do whatever I want. And then I'm going to come back, and all of a sudden I'm going to have a new sense of purpose and leadership. And I'm going to team up with these young receivers and Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. And we're going to remold the Green Bay Packers, and with Matt LaFleur, in this running game, and we're going to have a force to be reckoned with next year. And we're going to do the same shit with this in about 11 months.
I'm with you 1,000%.
Can I get that?
Amen.
Come on.
He preceded. I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to say.
$60 million.
This is the same shit we did last year, and we'll do it again. The dude's got good football left in him. If he can quit jamming his thumb on the fat asses in front of him so he can get to a fucking football game, and the guys on the other end of it will catch the ball. I mean, 2 hands, buddy. You got sticky gloves. Can I get a come on? Catch the dang ball. You got 2 horses, Aaron Jones and this other fella, Corey Dillon. Let's go. You get back. Corey Dillon used to play for the Bengals, didn't he? AJ Dillon, he's back there. You get Bakhtiari back next year. You've got a good team. You've got a good coach. You've got some pieces on defense that can play and keep you in games.
Mm-hmm.
In the NFL, that's all it is. Keep you in the game. Nobody's got to shut down defense and a badass offense. You got
go get a wide receiver vet, add him to the squad, and
go to Las Vegas and get that fella with dreads with number 17 and see if he wants to come back.
He's not going anywhere.
I know. Well, maybe Aaron Rodgers goes to Las Vegas to play with him.
That's definitely a possibility. Seems like it. But 60 mil, but he has a no trade clause, or there is no trade clause. So they can trade him.
He can go wherever he wants.
No, but they can trade him.
Okay,
and
okay,
say, you
okay.
know what? We're just going to pay $29 million.
Facts. Okay. So, question about this. Speaking of Las Vegas, Derek Carr leaves the team after he gets benched for Stidham. Where the hell is Derek Carr? Did he just dip out? Is he in Cabo? Like, where's Derek Carr? Haven't seen an interview. Seen a report. Not a message. Not a tweet. Not a picture. Nothing.
Probably in DC.
Did the mob get him? Where's Derek Carr?
No one cares about Derek Carr. You don't hear about him during the season anyway. So, like,
well, I'm kind of worried about his well-being. You don't have to be such an asshole about the situation. I'm kind of worried about the man. He might be curled up 6 feet under somewhere. He might be with the fishes. We don't know.
He's hanging out with his brother.
Hey, he's calling a wellness check-in.
Ain't no doubt.
Here.
Raiders of the Lost Car. That's what we'll call it.
Oh, man.
That's great stuff right there.
Okay. I guess what do people always say? Do you want the good news or do you want the bad news? I guess my statement should be, do you want to have the good conversation, a fun conversation, or do you want to have the not fun conversation?
Bad. Let's go bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the basketball,
get out of the way.
Okay. Where do the Titans go from here? Because they have nobody to throw the football to. They have Derrick Henry, who they're running his dick in the dirt. They've got a defense that can't stay on the field. They're cleaning house on the coaching staff. They can't even probably keep the fucking grass mowed. They're cleaning house. There's nobody there. Everybody's gone. It's just Vrabel wearing a helmet talking about, I'll cut my dick off to win a Super Bowl. Well, buddy, you're about to be Caitlyn Jenner, bud. Let's go. Make it happen because we suck on the football field. If that's what it takes, let's go. Because I don't know where we go from here. We got to get rid of Tannehill. We got to get rid of about half the receivers. We got to revamp this offensive line. We got to get everybody on defense healthy. And I think that's just for an appetizer.
I feel like they went all Oprah on him. You get fired. You get fired.
Should have.
You get fired.
Everybody gets it.
Everybody got fired.
So they fired. So they
We're
fire the
mediocre.
OC. So they fire the OC. So Todd Downing was not it. And Jared's phrasing, not it. They had a one big game. They won on Thursday Night Football in Green Bay. He comes home. He got wrecked on the plane and he couldn't make it home to Green Hills and he gets a DUI and it was a shit show from there. John Robinson gets dropped 2 weeks later. We don't win a game. We go 0 for. Like we go 0 for 2 months. We go 0 for since Halloween.
Like 7 games straight.
Like one in Green Bay and then took a shit on the rest of the season. And not one of those good ones that's satisfying. It's like a one wiper. I'm talking about the one that's like you're wiping the end of a marker. You can't quite get it. Like every time you wipe it, it's just like, how is there still poop on this paper? I can't understand it. And so you just decide, I'm done. I'm just going to
ending session.
Yeah. I don't have this kind of time. I got things to do. But
remember when the Titans were 7-3?
They could absolutely feels like they could be a bottom 3 NFL team in 2 years from now.
I'd love that. We need some. Maybe let's get that good pick. Let's go. Come on. Let's do the Texans.
Just get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid.
But
rip it off, JJ. Rip that Band-Aid off.
We're at the worst spot in the NFL, which is mediocre. So we're going to miss this top-tier quarterback. So we're not upgrading there. So you take a wide receiver that can take the top off so that there's at least maybe some sort of throwing option. But who's throwing the ball? Ryan Tannehill's the definition of.
I think you're in a 2-year spot. I think it's a 2-year plan. I think you by getting rid of Robinson, it's got to be a 2-year game plan. You've got to say, okay, what do we need the most? Like, okay, best best available.
You done with Malik Willis? Is he done?
I think he looked horrible. I don't think he's the guy. I think he showed to me. If I'm the GM, I'm going, okay, bud, you're a piece that I'm trying to sell now. You've turned into something that I'm either going to develop into a backup or I'm going to try to sell at some point for a better edge rusher, a backup edge rusher or something, or another pick. Like you're just the best available. If you look at the Titans are going to have the 11 pick. You look at the best available wide receiver. You're looking at the number 1, and I can't never pronounce his name, from Ohio State. You're looking at the number 1 from TCU, and you're looking at the what's the other fellow's name? Can't remember.
Allprey can help here. I think there's a kid, wide receiver from USC that's right in our area. I wouldn't mind taking
Addison.
Yeah,
Addison.
Yeah.
And Addison's in that group. So you
Who's
look
gonna
at
throw the damn ball though? You got to go get Derek
Alex
Carr if
Alper.
you can find him.
Hey, if you'll stop,
Full name
like,
drop.
if you'll pay attention to the whole statement, it's a 2-year process. I think that you
Got
have
it.
to take the best available this year with the intention of trying to trade pieces away to get the quarterback that you need, that mid-range guy, because you don't need you got to upgrade. You got to get somebody better. I don't think that you can. I don't think there's anybody in this draft. There may be somebody in next year's draft. I don't know. He's got a little afro. He plays out in California. That might be another opportunity to take next year. If you're looking at saying, hey, I might have a top 11 pick this year, but we make a couple of trades, build a couple of pieces. We find ourselves in the top 2 or 3 next year. We might be able to trade up and make the Caleb Williams pick. You look at a 2-year plan, you go, okay, now we're reuniting Williams and Addison. And that's kind of the thing to do now with Jamar Chase and Burrow, is to link these guys back up. You start to play the game and you start to look down the road and make it more of a long game. Then it starts to kind of come together and make some more sense. That's kind of if you're going to do it that way, but obviously I'm not a GM. If I was to do it, it would not work. Everybody would break their knee on the first day. So don't follow my advice.
No, it's not.
Who's under center? Who's under center next year?
The way it looks,
Derek Carr, Jimmy G.
The way it looks, Josh Dobbs, man. But it'd be fun. Like I said, it'd be fun. It would be fun if DeAndre Hopkins was so mad at Arizona that he wanted to get the hell out of there, and he left. And I saw a picture that I posted on Instagram about Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins and Lamar Jackson kind of hanging out together, talking about wouldn't it be fun to play together. So. Maybe Lamar Jackson's not necessarily getting his money in Baltimore. Maybe he decides to come to Nashville. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins' contract gets bought out from Arizona for his last 2 years. We say, hey, fuck it. Let's go with it. We got Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, DeAndre Hopkins. Let's make a run. Let's go. I'd go to every game.
Bring it on.
Every game I'd go.
That'd be fun.
Mars, I think you're spot on in terms of let's make a trade and let's either go all in or win now. But okay, we're going to rebuild with that 2-year process. I'm right there with you. I'm not trying to run Derrick Henry a billion times, finish 6 and 10, and then be 15th in the draft again.
He's worth so much more than that,
for sure,
and deserves to have the right support around him.
Yeah.
Tweeter, to answer your question on Willis, Josh Dobbs, we signed him a free agent, gave him Nick, 6 days to learn the playbook and started him over. So that's what you need to know right there.
And made them look relevant. Made them look at least like a team that could move a ball. Like,
yeah.
They got Willis, man, like pathetic stats this year. Just pathetic stats.
Right. As soon as we got the ball, I was just like, oh God, here we go. Like, please don't give it away right away. Like at least let us punt it back to him, but
just let us get to a punt, please.
Let us punt it. Let's not hand it to him.
We're hoping for a punt.
So obviously because I'm a Titans fan, that's why that was the sad part. I want to the more positive conversation I want to have to kind of wrap up the show is to talk about the fact that Mike Evans just had his 9th consecutive 1,000-yard rushing season, and might be the most underappreciated wide receiver in the game. In my opinion, Canton bound. If you've ever watched a documentary on Mike Evans, I know him and Lattimore it's been publicized. They get into it and this and that. But if you ever watch anything on Mike Evans, that man is a great story. So it came from, from where he's come from to what he stands for now to what he does in the community. Mike Evans is a great human being down there in the Tampa Bay area. And it is crazy to think that in this day and age and all the, he's only had Tom Brady for a couple of years. He had a revolving door at quarterback for the first 7 of those years.
I think was one of those,
and he was able to rattle off 7, 1,000-yard rushing yards before he even got Tom Brady. So the model of consistency, if any, whether you're a Tampa Bay fan or not, if you're a fan of football, then you know how impressive that is. So I want to give my flowers to Mike Evans. 9 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Good on you, man. Good luck in the playoffs. That's a Hall of Fame season for me. A career for me.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he's got a lot more in the tank, but if he was to hang him up at the end of this season, he is in Canton, in my opinion. So I don't get a vote, but if I did, I'd vote for him. But I think that who's somebody else that you think is underappreciated like that?
Williams
now or
from
in history?
Detroit.
Jamal Williams?
Yeah.
First swag Kaze?
Let's say this year.
Yeah. Man, anyone who beats any of Barry Sanders' records, that's balling out. And be on a team like Detroit, who doesn't get a lot of love, like, way to go, dude.
Well, it goes back to his Green Bay days. He was always a likable guy. His attitude was always good. He always had a smile on his face. All the fans liked him. All his teammates liked him. The Detroit Lions he taught, I think the last year that when they played him, his thing was like, all right, I want to go play for somebody who wants me. He took it like Green Bay didn't want him anymore. He took it personal, like it was still college, and he went and he balled out, but he cares. If you watched Hard Knocks, he cares. Like, he gets emotional about the shit. Like, he really cares about football, and he cares about his brothers that he's playing with. And it's hard to not like a guy like that. It's hard to not get behind a guy like that. It's, even if he is a little bit kooky, I mean, but like it was like Scott, the guy we had on a few weeks ago, who said, he was the one that did the Hingle McCringleberry. Now it makes me laugh because now he'll only do 2. Like, he did the first week, he got the flag for doing more than 3 pumps, but now he'll only do 2 pumps and then he shuts it down. It's always funny. And it makes me laugh because I'm like, he's definitely doing the Hingle McCringleberry.
You think the Titans will be on Hard Knocks next year?
I tell you what, Mike Vrabel would be entertaining on it. If you've ever spent any time watching him or hearing him speak, he would be entertaining on it. That man is as honest and as transparent as they come. He's made of the right stuff, and I appreciate everything he's doing for the team. So it's no question that everybody's getting cleaned out except for him. So if they want to put him on show, then it would probably be one of the better seasons. But
go put Colorado on Hard Knocks. Everybody watch that.
Yeah, they put Coach Prime on it. They would. I don't know. I'm trying to think who would be a good Hard Knocks for next year.
Got to have a losing record.
I think the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars would be good for Hard Knocks next year because they've got some good pieces. It'll be their second year. Coach Peterson's getting better. They got Ridley coming in. They'll have another round of draft picks. I think the Jags would be a good Hard
Got to have a losing record is the only prerequisite. So they're a playoff team. They cannot be on Hard Knocks.
Texans.
So you're looking at, Texans, Colts, Titans, Browns, Broncos, Raiders, Jets.
Browns would.
Patriots.
Browns with Deshaun Watson. You got the Broncos with Russell Wilson. The Titans and
it won't be the Rams.
Jets
won't be the Cardinals. It could be the Bears. The Bears haven't done it once, have they? Could be the Packers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers can ball out in New York. No lie, with that receiving core they got a pretty interesting group of receivers. Solid running games, solid defense, interesting coach. I think that was one of the only places I'd actually like to see him go if he left. Otherwise, I actually don't really care about that guy.
All right, we'll make sure we put in everybody's vote when they start when they call me next week to ask me for our opinion. I'll make sure everybody gets to put in their vote. But until then, we got a bunch of stuff going on. We got our Super Wild Card weekend in the NFL this weekend. We will be putting our picks out for that weekend. Also, we'll go ahead and get our playoff bracket picks put together. We'll get that posted before the weekend so that those can be out. So if you want to follow those, you can. And those will be just straight up pick'ems. They will not be against the spread. We'll put some against the spread and over unders and maybe some prop bets and stuff like that out for that. I've been digging into some NBA prop bets over the last couple of weeks. So we'll start putting some different stuff out other than football for the people who have asked for some stuff outside of football betting. And we'll do that. Again, it's at Nashville Stash on Instagram and on TikTok. Go follow us. And eventually, coming in the next couple of weeks, we're working on getting all the video edited. So we'll be on YouTube. The YouTube channel will be again at Nashville Stash as well. So look forward to that. And we'll have a lot of quickies on there. We'll have JJ's shower thoughts breaking down. We'll have our sports business segment breaking down. We'll have fantasy football quickie, and then here coming up, we'll start doing some stuff with all the other sports, NHL, men's basketball, etc., and onwards and upwards. So we got a lot of stuff to look forward to, and we'll be watching along. Follow us along again on social media, and if you got anything that you want to talk to us about, leave it in the comments, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Until then, be well, be good. We love you big. Stash Cast out.
So come on, take me on your UFO. Yeah, on your UFO. I've been on some other shit, just lost my fucking brother shit. Now I think it's time to beam myself back to the mothership. J-Rock is my co-pilot, that's the one that I hover with. Love the way we stubborn like we rule our own government. We come through